was it like to be there?
It is a very emotional day. It's very gloomy on a very sunny day here at Howard University, Vice President Kamala Harris's alma mater. It's been a historic campaign season, and Vice President Kamala Harris spoke to supporters today, students of Howard alumni, and told them that, it is not the election that they had hoped for, but talked about how proud she was of the campaign, of all of the support that she was only able to do with only a little bit over 100 days since becoming the nominee. Now, she told her supporters that it is time to roll up their sleeves and to just accept the results. She said that with Donald Trump, she's going to ensure that there is a peaceful transfer of power. But in the midst of saying all of these things, it was still a very emotional day for supporters and all of her staffers, just everyone that has been in her corner these past couple of months. So for Vice President Kamala Harris, she was joined by her family here, and she, talked about how she is going to continue to fight to protect democracy and women's reproductive rights. But it was still a very emotional day for the campaign.
All right, Bloomberg's Skylar Woodhouse, live from Howard University in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much. Well, Harris's concession does mark the fact that this race is over. The dissection of it and the demographics that have driven this loss for Harris and victory for Donald Trump are only just starting to be analyzed as we break down the results, not just of the presidential race in some of these critical states, but the Senate races as well, like Michigan, which went for Trump, but had the Democratic candidate, Elissa Slotkin, win the Senate seat by less than a point. So let's go now to Michigan, in Detroit, where we find Bloomberg's Romaine Bostick. So, Romaine, break this down for us.
Yeah, a very slim victory for Elissa Slotkin, despite the fact that she outspent her Republican challenger, Mike Rogers, by a factor of almost 5-1. It does look like that these vote tallies will hold for right now. There are expected to be some challenges, though. Folks that I have spoken to, though, they think that this is done. Of course, that does not necessarily address some of the gloom that does exist here in the state of Michigan, particularly in the Democratic strongholds of Wayne County. The idea that this was a big opportunity missed, an opportunity for the Harris campaign to connect with the voters in a way that Trump was somehow able to do, coming into some of the Arab American and Muslim enclaves just to the west of me, going to some of the Jewish enclaves just north of me, and to some of the Polish American communities further off to the east. This idea here that Trump had a message that was, believe it or not, maybe a little bit more humanistic than what we heard out of Kamala Harris. And on that point, and this is more for Joe, because I know Joe is a student of political history, and listening to that concession speech that Harris just gave, probably one of the better concession speeches that I've heard, and really kind of harken back to 2000 when Al Gore gave that concession speech during the whole hanging Chad controversy versus George W. Bush, or even going back to the speech that Reagan gave when he lost the primary in 1976 to Gerald Ford, a concession speech that really actually launched the next phase of his political career, where he would win the presidential election in 1980, and I think all the way back to Eisenhower when he walked out of office in 1961 and really talked about that page of American history, that long road that had yet to be written, and his warning that as the world became smaller, it was important for the U.S. not to become a country of hate, but to become one of mutual respect and trust.
Romaine Bostick couldn't have said it better. On the ground in the swing state of Michigan, he's spent several days on our behalf in Detroit, and Romaine, we thank you for it. As we turn to the big prize of Pennsylvania now, where the Senate race has yet to be called, Dave McCormick is up over incumbent Democrat Bob Casey by just about a half point. This remains extremely close, so we could get a call even while we're on the air, though it could take longer. That's the way it goes in this campaign. And in Pennsylvania specifically, where we find Bloomberg's David Gura, he's on the ground in Philadelphia, having endured many days of coverage in the most important state here among the swing states. David, Kamala Harris used the adage that it's only when it's dark enough that you can see the stars, which was a version of Joe Biden's line that we used to hear in his speeches, that faith sees best in the dark. Didn't know how much we'd hear about Joe Biden, the boy from Scranton. That was supposed to be his strong suit, Pennsylvania. Did she lose in part because of him in Pennsylvania or despite him?
It's a great question, and I think that this postmortem is going to last for an awful long time as we pick apart all the counterfactuals of who she could have picked as a running mate. Could Joe Biden have dropped out earlier? What might that have meant? I mean, Romaine rightly is bringing up history and how fraught with history this moment is. I've been thinking about it as well, and just how much history has centered on this state, in particular on this Commonwealth. Of course, it was just a few months ago when there was that first assassination attempt on Donald Trump here in Pennsylvania, in Butler County. So much of this race has been confined to the four corners of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The old adage, of course, is that the presidency, the road to the presidency, comes through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And we have seen both of these candidates pour so much money, so much time into this state, crisscrossing it over and over again, more than 100 visits by these candidates to this state, trying to get voters to come into their camps. You know, I listened to what the vice president had to say in that speech, in particular to what she said to young people who were gathered there. And she has to know, as she's saying that was a part of the electorate that she wished she had more support from when those votes were cast yesterday. So, you know, I think you mentioned that race that's still uncalled here between Dave McCormick and Bob Casey, the incumbent Democratic senator here. It's really hinging on one county in the western part of the state, a solidly red part of the state of Pennsylvania. I think that the McCormick camp is very confident that they've got this wrapped up. As you say, they could call this race any time now, but it is astonishing to think that all that's happened here in these last few months, how much of it is centered on the state where I'm standing, guys.
Well, in the state where you're standing, David, is one of 3 states that we refer to as the blue wall. Are we still going to be doing that after this?
I think that is unlikely, and we've heard from Romaine. I'll steal from him as well. This notion that Michigan is no longer a blue state or a contested state; it's a red state. I think that there's going to be a lot of introspection here among Pennsylvanians about this state as well. Of course, there are parts of it, pockets of it, that are solidly blue and have been for a long time. But I keep thinking about the data from Philadelphia and the suburbs and the exurbs in particular, places where in the past Democrats have drawn such a groundswell of support. That wasn't the case. They didn't get as much as they needed or expected to in this race. And I think it does change kind of the political calculus, the terrain they've come to expect here. It does seem like things have really shifted, perhaps in a permanent way here over these last few years.